The consequences of an unconsidered people. Israel was a nation chosen by God to reflect his love, justice, and holiness to the world. But as time passed, they lost sight of this purpose. They became entangled in idolatry, oppression, and injustice, ignoring the commands that called them to a life of righteousness. God sent Isaiah to warn them of the consequences of their rebellion. In Isaiah 1:2-4, the prophet opens with a heavy accusation from God. "Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. Children have I reared and brought up, but they have rebelled against me. The ox knows its owner and the donkey its master's crib. But Israel does not know, my people do not understand. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity. A seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward." This is a powerful reminder of how Israel turned from God, forgetting their identity and purpose. Much like how today's society can lose focus on values of unity and faith. In Isaiah 3:8-9, Isaiah speaks of the downfall awaiting those who continue in their disobedience. "For Jerusalem has stumbled and Judah has fallen, because their speech and their deeds are against the Lord, defying his glorious presence. The look on their faces bears witness against them. They proclaim their sin like Sodom. They do not hide it. Woe to them, for they have brought evil on themselves." Isaiah warns Israel that their actions have consequences, a message that resonates today, urging us to reflect on the effects of neglecting values like justice, peace, and compassion. One of the most direct calls to justice appears in Isaiah 1:16-17, where God implores his people to turn back from wrongdoing and to help those in need. "Wash yourselves, make yourselves clean. Remove the evil of your deeds from before my eyes. Cease to do evil, learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression. Bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's cause." This timeless message can serve as a reminder for all people to advocate for justice, protect the vulnerable, and renew the values of God. Let's go back to the book of Deuteronomy. As Moses stood before the people of Israel, he could see the promised land in the distance, a land where they could finally find rest, peace, and prosperity. Yet Moses knew that this new life depended on their faithfulness to God. He set before them two paths, blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. His message was clear. This covenant required a commitment to God's ways, and the consequences of rejecting it were severe. Moses began with the blessings, Deuteronomy 28:1-14, promising prosperity, protection, and abundance. The people would flourish in their new land, becoming a powerful, respected nation. God would bless their crops, their livestock, their families, and their health. They would be the head and not the tail, Deuteronomy 28:13, living as a beacon of God's favor to the world. But then came the curses, Deuteronomy 28:15-68. Moses warned them that if they turned away from God, they would face unimaginable suffering. The curses would be a reversal of every blessing, and they would escalate in intensity if the people continued to rebel. Moses warned that they would experience economic hardship, crop failure, and disease, Deuteronomy 28:17-22. Their enemies would overpower them, and they would be defeated and scattered. The land that was supposed to be a place of peace would become a place of fear and scarcity. One of the most striking warnings came later in Deuteronomy 28:36-37, where Moses said, "The Lord will bring you and your king whom you set over you to a nation that neither you nor your fathers have known. And there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone, and you shall become a horror, a proverb, and a byword among all the peoples where the Lord will lead you away." This was a clear foreshadowing that if Israel abandoned God, they would be taken captive, uprooted from their land, and treated as objects of scorn. In Deuteronomy 28:48, he warned that they would be placed under heavy oppression and hardship. Therefore you shall serve your enemies whom the Lord will send against you, in hunger and thirst, in nakedness and lacking everything, and he will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. This vivid image of a yoke of iron symbolized the brutal bondage they would face if they broke the covenant. Perhaps the most foreboding part of the warning is found in Deuteronomy 28:64-68. Here, Moses speaks of a future where disobedience would lead to exile on a massive scale, saying, "And the Lord will scatter you among all peoples, from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone, which neither you nor your fathers have known. And among these nations you shall find no respite, and there shall be no resting place for the sole of your foot, but the Lord will give you there a trembling heart and failing eyes and a languishing soul." The prophecy reaches a climax in verse 68. "And the Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt, a journey that I promised that you should never make again. And there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer." This was a powerful symbol. They would be taken on ships, treated as merchandise, and enslaved in a foreign land, a reversal of the liberation they had experienced from Egypt. This story reflects the history of the descendants and the consequences of an unconsidered people who had endured slavery, exile, and displacement. The verses in Deuteronomy serve as a reminder of the importance of commitment to values that foster unity, respect, and faithfulness to God. Just as Moses warned Israel, we are reminded that choices have consequences, and only by following a path of righteousness can true freedom and peace be found. Ultimately, God calls us all to choose Christ Jesus, the Son of God, to seek Him. By embracing His values, being living examples, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. There's been countless discussions on the subject historically of who God's chosen people truly are in the Bible. For years, many theologians and historians have not all been in agreement with this answer. As of May 14th, 1948, the Jewish people occupied the land that God had promised His people. But as we go back to Deuteronomy 28:68, "And the Lord shall bring you back in ships to Egypt," Egypt meaning figuratively, "a journey that I promised that you should never make again, and there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer." So, if the Bible speaks of this curse taking place to His people that have been disobedient to His word, and it is known that these curses had not happened to the current people that now occupy this land, could it be possible that God's chosen people were actually the slaves that God promised in the curses? That would be sent all over the world in ships for being disobedient to His commandments. For even Jesus Christ, the Son of God, says in Revelations 2:9, "I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan." And again, Jesus the Messiah says in Revelation 3:9, "Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee." So if the Son of God, one of the creators of creation and mankind, acknowledges this, then why can't the world accept it? That God's chosen people were and are the descendants spoken about in the book of Deuteronomy. Maybe we'll get a better understanding in Deuteronomy 32:20-21, when God says, "I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. And in the book of Hosea 4:6, when God says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge," because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. Now as we close, ask yourself, could this be the reason the descendants of Deuteronomy are in the position that they are in, till this very day, acting in disobedience as their forefathers did to the God of Israel? Please like and subscribe, and again, thank you for watching.